Hello, is anybody in there? Hello?
Hello, this is Greg Colby.
Hi, Greg.
How you doing?
Hanging in there.
Good, good. My wife's name is at the bottom, so it may not show my name, but it is me. Who's this, Greg?
Yeah.
Go Vikes. They actually beat the Bears.
I heard that.
3 in a row. Who could have believed it?
It's about time they do something.
Well, that's for sure.
Hi, Mark. I'm learning how to operate this.
I am getting tired of Zoom meetings.
Hello, how y'all doing?
Yeah, we're getting by. Did you hear the news that New Orleans has canceled Mardi Gras?
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
First time I think that's ever happened.
Dang, that's amazing.
No beads for me.
Yeah, I got my hat right here. Hey, take it easy.
I have a twin brother who lives down in Mississippi, and he married a New Orleans girl 25 years ago, 30 years ago. And it's always amusing because her idea of going way up north is going to Arkansas. She used to work in a hospital as she was a dietitian. And she called me up once and said, Greg, they're having a hospital dietitian convention up in Minneapolis, and I'd like to go. And I said, well, that's great. We'd love to see you. But when is it? She said, well, January. And I said, oh, I don't think that's the best idea. And she said, well, I can get ready for the weather. And I said, how are you going to do that? And she said, I'm going to sit in the hospital refrigerator. And I pointed out to her that only gets down to about 25 degrees. And she said, well, isn't that cold enough?
It may be.
No. Plus, you need to have a fan blowing.
Yeah, right. To get the real Minnesota experience.
Oh, indeed. Yeah, but I'll tell you, nothing beats being up in North Dakota when the wind is blowing, it's about 0 or colder, and the wind is blowing and there's nothing to stop it anywhere. I mean, oh man, that is bad news.
Oh yeah.
Oh. So what time is it? 5:59. All right. Oh shoot.
I'm not sure who all's on here even yet.
Well, let's see. Participants.
You guys hear me?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So far, we got 15 people.
Yeah. Adam, was that you? Did you chime in?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, perfect. So I'll go ahead. We'll get this started here. Looks like we got Mark, myself, Greg. Obviously, it's some couple guests in here. We got Mike Maxa from State. We got Teresa Ash from State. Greg Colby from State. And we got Ray Iden as well. We also got Glenn McCluskey here, legal counsel for our posts. Looks like we got Mike, Lynn. I'll tell you what, I'm just going to do a roll call here real quick so we make sure who's who. I see we got Jake. That's Jake there. We're good to go. Jake's our tech guy, kind of helping us through all this. We got Lynn, who is 612-986-3729.
Their microphone is muted right now.
Yeah, I see that.
229.
Yeah, 3729.
All right, I'll see if I can. Oh, ask to unmute them.
We got a small enough meeting here, Jake. You could probably just unmute everybody.
Okay. Yeah, I think 729. You're unmuted now.
Okay.
Let me try to do that for everybody.
There's Mike.
Oh, hey guys, this is Andy.
Okay, that's Andy there. All right, sweet. And then we got, who's 4636?
That's Wade Larson. I don't know, he's muted.
Okay, that's Dwayne Larson.
Wade Larson.
Yep. Wade Larson, I'm sorry. Yeah, yep. My mistake. My misspoke. Yep. Okay, so it looks like we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and Lynn. Okay, we got 5 here. All right, from the board itself. All right, guys, thanks for calling in. I appreciate it. It's been an interesting week, obviously. We're planning on meeting tomorrow. But obviously with the governor's orders and everything that came in, that changed things, and it sounds like it's going to change again starting tomorrow. So who knows what's going to happen. We still plan on having our membership meeting tomorrow via Zoom. Again, we're doing that. We originally scheduled it for the week. We originally bumped it up, I should say, just because with the Thanksgiving week to accommodate any kind of travel plans that people have. Obviously that got thrown for the loop, and I didn't feel right changing it yet again on the guys. Or on the members, so we'll go ahead and just leave it for tomorrow. But it's going to be all via Zoom, as you all should be aware of now. Just again, to accommodate the governor's orders, make sure we kind of comply with them. Let's go ahead and start out here. Where you are? Okay, Dave is on. Dave, you want to give us a quick finance report, please?
Can do. As of November 11th, we had $45,201 in the checking account. Since mid-October, we paid $28,787 of outstanding debt. Since July, we paid $155,704 of our debt. As of November 11th, we had $79,115 of outstanding supplier debt. And we're still working with the controller to finalize what we owe her. We've put together a first draft of a budget for the next 12 months and are scheduling a meeting with the CPA and controller to finalize that budget. We've also begun discussions with Unity Bank about opening up a $285,000 line of credit. We are currently reviewing the letter of intent. And again, that loan would be secured by a lien on the property. I think as an executive committee, we should probably proceed and put a motion in place that allows us to proceed with putting that line of credit. But we can get to that after I finish my report. Insurance, we're working with a finance officer for the gun club or the treasurer of the gun club and the insurance agent for both the gun club and the post to review both policies that are in place and make sure we have the appropriate liability and property coverage that meets the needs of both organizations. I'm planning to set up an initial meeting of the Property and Finance Committee within the next couple of weeks. So I look at the next steps. It's finalize the budget, using that budget to help lock down a line of credit, get the property listed and get an estimate of the timing, the amount of earnest money that we would get from a buyer and the timing of the closing on the property. We need to define the priority and schedule of repaying the remaining money we owe and resolving outstanding insurance questions. Questions, guys?
The loan that you're talking about, what more do we need as far as loans to get this straightened out as far as what we've owed?
That should, what we're looking for right now is trying to make sure we have enough monies to pay off the balance of what we owe and allow us to keep operating at the level we are now until we get either earnest money or the property closes. So I'll get a much better sense of that once we finalize the budget. We may end up having to increase the amount of the line of credit and money we're talking about with this bank, but don't have that information yet.
Right now, but my understanding though was that we had a $75,000 PPE and we had what, $250,000 on another loan. Is that correct?
150.
So there's 200 and some thousand.
And basically that money, that a lot of that money was used to pay off the 155,740 we've already paid off.
Okay, now was any of that money put to the taxes, or is that just vendors and the smaller stuff?
We paid off all of 2019 taxes owed in the first half of 2020. So
and I just want to point out too that those PPE loans and those other loans that we got, those have specific rules that go along with them, what we can use those funds for, and so on and so forth. I just want to throw that in there, Dave. I didn't want to step on you there.
And the intent would be is once we either get some money on a line of credit and we get a line of money on from an earnest payment from a buyer, or when the place closes, we would pay off both of those small business administration loans and a PPE loan.
Hey, Dave, this is Mark.
Yes.
It might give a little, if you can quote the amount that we did in fact owe because we had to pay the whole sum. We weren't able to use any gambling proceeds because of the lost licensing and stuff. That might give a little more perspective to the amount of money from those loans that went towards that. Just, you know, for our local folks.
I can try to help. The bottom line is the
majority went to it though, right?
And when I took office, we owed about $250,000, little about that number. We've paid off 155,000, and we're about little less than 80,000 yet outstanding. So we've made significant improvement on paying off a lot of the money's owed, and we're down to right now the last little less than 80,000 of what we owe. And if we can move this line of credit along, that'll give us a chance to pay off that additional, that 80,000. In addition, it gives us enough operating cash to keep moving and keeping the post moving forward until either the earnest money comes in or we finally close on the property. Questions?
Are there any other questions for Dave?
Yes. Dave, this is Greg Colby. I'm the department judge advocate. If you're using the property to secure the loan, your bylaws seem to indicate you need to get the approval of your holding corporation to do that.
That would be intent. We haven't moved forward with anything on the line of credit. We're going to wait till the property and finance committee meets, as well as the holding committee meets before we move forward. So we've started initial discussions, but nothing is in place until both the finance committee, property and finance committee, but more importantly, the holding corporation both agree with what we're doing.
Very good. All right. Thank you.
Hey,
this is any other questions?
The adjutant.
Yeah. Yep. Hold on, Mike.
Your PPP loan, we are starting to hear rumors that the paperwork is going to be released to turn that loan into a grant. Because we're in the same boat at the department. We have a PPP loan, and I just want to make you guys aware of that.
Mike, we're aware that those things are kind of up in the air right now, and there's a large possibility that part of that, at least all or part of that loan, could be, forgiven. We're making the assumption is we may have to pay all of it back.
Good.
I think that's the best alternative to proceed right now, assuming we have to pay all of it back, and with some luck, we can then get most, at least a good portion of it forgiven.
Good.
Cool. All right. Some things, I'm sorry, I forgot to touch base, and this one began here. So just wanted to touch base, everybody. This meeting is being recorded. I also want to point out that just for the sake of clarity and stuff like that, because we're on Zoom and it's tough to see, when we do votes tonight, it's going to be a roll call vote. So, I'll be like, Mark, yay or nay? Dave, yay or nay? So on and so forth, just so we make sure that everybody's heard.
Adam?
Yes, sir.
Greg Colby again. if you're recording this, it might be a good idea to ask everybody to identify themselves before they start speaking.
Right. Yep. Yeah, that's something else I was going to go on here too. Sorry about that. I'm kind of distracted. I got a work thing going on too. So, all right. Were there any other questions?
I just provided a financial update. I'm Dave Kane. I'm the financial officer.
Are there any other questions for Dave?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, Lynn.
The breakdown of the money that we got from the loans, the $150,000 and the $75,000, have we been provided a detailed report of exactly where that money went? And if not, could we? Because I know that I have brought this up several times in the past, but when the kitchen equipment was sold, I repeatedly requested a copy of what was sold, the value of what was sold, what it was assessed at, and who bought it for how much. And I have received many emails saying, you know, yes, you can have that information, but alas, I have not received it yet. So that kind of goes on my question too.
We'll look at that one, but if you look at a general thing is,
where'd the money go from the loans?
We didn't have much money in the bank when when I took office. So
exactly,
we've paid $155,000 of our outstanding debt. So if you look at the fact we had $225,000 from those two loans, I think it's a reasonable assumption, and we can try to figure it out specifically, but I don't know if we'll ever get there. We paid $155,000 in outstanding debt, and we have $45,000 left in the checking account. So I think that gives you a reasonable assumption about where that money was spent.
Yeah, no. And on top of that, our CPA, through our CPA, we provided this information for months. Every month this has come out. We provided the information. It's been available. It's been sent to the board. We recently had the big blast sent to the membership. It's been available. So there's some sort of disconnect here. I don't know if your emails are not getting it or what.
That is what I
guys, I understand. We've had this every single time, and the information has been provided.
Actually, it hasn't.
It has been provided. I've seen the email. Listen, I'm not going to argue over this. The information's been provided. I'm sorry if you don't understand it. I can't, I can't understand it for you, but the information has been provided.
Commander, we have never received the information from the sale of the kitchen equipment. In fact, the last thing we got an email from in March saying she was not risking her life to go into an empty building to obtain that information for us. However, all the many other times after that where she has sat in full meetings in person, there didn't seem to be a regard for her safety. So I would like to reiterate, we have not received the information from the sale of the kitchen equipment as of yet. And as for the other part, I specifically asked if it was on the statements that we are getting, if it was on there, the money that came from the loans, if it was broken down.
I'm telling you right now that information was on the documents that you were given. Again, I can't understand it for you. The information was given. It was given in August. It's been given every month since then.
Not from the kitchen equipment, Commander. You're misunderstanding my question.
Okay.
I'm specifically referring to the kitchen equipment.
We are going to move on. Are there any other questions for Dave regarding the finance report as presented tonight?
Let me try that one time. Lynn?
Okay.
I just sent you a significant group of emails that showed every financial statement we've had, the year-end balances from 2019, plus every balance sheet and other statements we got from the CPA for all of 2020. Included in those numbers were the numbers for showing how much we made from the kitchen equipment, the sale of equipment, plus how monies were spent. So you, bottom
So
line is that data, that information you're asking for is included in the financials that I personally sent you.
Okay, so for clarification, the assessed value, the worth of that equipment is also in that statement. That's clarification. You're saying yes, all that is in there.
I'm saying you're seeing if in the balance sheet and in the income statements, how much money we made from the sale of equipment, and you can see monies we paid out in the time in the financial statements you saw.
Correct, but for clarification purpose, the value of the equipment is not listed in there. Is that correct?
That is correct. We did not pay an assessor to come in and assess every single piece of equipment that we sold.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Was repossessed, though.
Can I ask
I'm sorry?
a question?
Yes, Glenn, go ahead.
Well, I assume if in fact kitchen equipment was sold, it was sold to someone that wished to buy it. Is that true?
I'm sorry, but I didn't hear that second part.
Kitchen equipment, if it was sold, I assume it was sold by someone who wishes to buy it. Is that correct?
It was sold to somebody who wished to buy it, yes.
So unless you sold it to somebody at a great discount, the amount you sold it for is the value of the equipment. I would suggest.
Yeah. I wouldn't argue with that. And the other piece along with that, Glenn, is that the other piece of equipment people have asked about is the broaster.
I heard about
that. That broaster was repossessed.
Yeah, I had an email on that while I was on the gun club.
So, all right. So are there any additional questions for Dave regarding the finance report as presented tonight? If there are no more, can I please have a motion to accept the finance report as it was presented tonight?
So moved.
From somebody? All right, Mike Hewitt, can I get a second?
Mark Bartle.
All right, is there any discussion? All right, if there's no further discussion on it, I'm gonna go ahead and do a roll call vote here. Jake, if you could please unmute, he's on there as Lynn L, L-I-N-N-L, and then just Lynn, L-Y-N-N.
It's Lynn L here.
Yep, I just want to make sure if you can leave yourself unmuted for now, Lynn. I just want to make sure we can get a roll call vote here.
Go ahead.
All right. So, Mark, on the motion as presented, yay or nay?
Yay.
All right. Dave Kane.
Yay.
Mike Hewitt.
Mike Hewitt, yay.
Greg Grant.
Nay.
Nay. Lynn Lag.
Yay.
Lynn Lyons.
Nay.
Andy Keller.
Yay.
All right. I'm considering that motion passed.
5-2.
Yep. All right. So on to the next item of business here. I sent out this evening, I got the results from our special election, our special vote that we had recently regarding the reformation of the the Property and Finance Committee, as well as the holding corporation, along with the results for the vote regarding the sale of the Post property. I also sent that to Mike Maxa, Greg Colby at State. I sent that to Wade Larson and Jamie Woods at District. I also shared that with our family members for our Post SAL and Post Auxiliary. I also shared it with the gun club as well, just so they're all kind of informed as to what's going on. Has everybody had a chance to review it? Does anybody have any questions on it? Okay, so just for those of you who may not have had a chance to read it yet, for the Property and Finance Committee, it was four members. It's Mike Hewitt, Andy Keller, myself, and Richard Steele. Richard goes by Tom. Dave Kane is going to be according to our bylaws, Dave Kane's the automatic chair of the Property and Finance Committee. For the holding corporation, we had 3 members and voted in on a 1-year term: Lynn Lag, Mark Bartel, and Tom Eckhoff. Then we had 3 members for a 2-year term. That was Mike Hewitt, again, Tom Steele, and Doug Dingman. And then for the tally of the votes to sell the Richfield property, it was 207 votes for, 12 votes against. So that was presented there, and we had a nice little legal briefing as part of that from Glenn. Thank you, Glenn. I appreciate that. I just wanted to make sure everybody was aware of that, who had a chance to see it. And we can move on from there. Does anybody have any questions regarding any of that?
Adam, this is Dave Kane. I do have what I consider probably more of a procedural question than anything else.
Yep.
Because if you look at the bylaws identify that we have an executive committee that's made up of 9 members.
Yep.
Under one of the last boards, we didn't have enough volunteers to support that. So we took away or removed the Property and Finance Committee and combined it with what was called an E-board. The E-board had 10 members. The bylaws say 9. We have had, 10 members on the E-board up to now. How do we deal with that?
So the way I was thinking, and this is something I want to discuss tonight too. So Dave, thanks for bringing that up. Right now, as we stand, so it was the executive committee became the executive board, and like Dave said, was increased to 10 from 9 members. This last time we had our elections, we had a member named Travis Rudolph who was voted onto the board. We also had Don Rhodes. Don Rhodes, as we all know, has since resigned, and Travis Rudolph is MIA and has been MIA for a few months now. According to our bylaws, somebody might have to keep me honest here just to make sure I'm not misremembering, that after, I believe it's after 3 months of missing meetings, they can be removed and everything like that. So for Travis, I've been unable to get a hold of him. We might want to go ahead down that route. And then with Don resigning, that brings us down to 9 on the executive board, which would then, according to our bylaws, then revert to the executive committee. That's a long, convoluted answer, a long, convoluted statement I just made there. It's also being reviewed by our post-council, Glenn and Dennis. We're going to let them kind of guide us into how we do it. But as of right now, I believe the situation has kind of resolved itself. So anyways, we will continue to be led by, guided by legal in that regard, is to make sure we're keeping up with our bylaws and we're not missing anything going forward. So Dave, does that long-windedly answer your question?
It does. Thank you.
Yep. Cool. All right.
Adam, do we have an adjutant?
I'm sorry? No one has put a name for it? Nope. I've sent out email requests via MailChimp. I remember I mentioned it at the last meeting as well. I'm still looking for volunteers. We need an adjutant, we need a judge advocate, we need an historian. We got all those appointed positions. No one's really put their name forward for any of those positions. So if any of you are willing to do it, I would appreciate it. I think the most pressing concern we need right now is an adjutant. At the meeting tomorrow, on that Zoom call for the meeting tomorrow, I'm going to bring it up again. I'm going to stress, like I did before, that we're going to need a lot of volunteers, a lot of people stepping up to participate in the coming year, just to make sure that this transition, whatever it looks like, goes smoothly.
I just find it amazing that when all this started, all these guys from the gun club come in gung-ho and wanted to be involved, but all of a sudden, none of them want to be involved. What seems to be the problem?
I disagree about them not want to be involved. We got gun club members on the board or on our executive board right now. I remember for the Property and Finance Committee and the holding corporation, we have gun club members on both of those. So I don't really know where that's coming from, Greg. I mean, they're stepping up. I can't make them volunteer.
The one meeting that you boasted about back, I don't know how many months ago, there was 100 and some people at, and all of a sudden, a month ago, I came to a meeting and there was only 15 or 20 people there. So how come all these people disappeared?
Well, we got COVID, Greg. I can't make them come to meetings. All right. We got COVID. We have all this stuff going on. I think it's a little unfair to talk about that meeting that happened back at the beginning of the year before the COVID stuff really picked up to compare it to now when we're being locked down in many cases. And especially since a lot of our members are of the older generation, which is very susceptible to all this stuff. All right. That's why we're trying to get more Zoom meetings set up.
Adam?
Yes, sir. Mike.
I would be more than happy. I'm not going to take on adjutant, but historian. I love history, and I would love to somehow, if whatever I can do to promote and save the history of this organization, I'd be happy to do that. So you can put me down for that.
Adam,
awesome, Mike. I appreciate. Yes, sir.
Greg, just as a point of reference, right? I've been a member of both the Post and the Glen Club for over 20 years. When the email went out last fall saying, hey, the Post is in trouble, we need help, I stepped up, mostly because I wanted to help make sure the gun club was stable. So to say that there's not many people from the gun club who were there and active, I'm an example of someone who is.
Well, thank you, sir.
Okay, so again, I'm going to be putting out a request for volunteers still for for a position like the adjutant and stuff like that. We're definitely going to need that going forward. I think that's probably our biggest priority, and that's the one I'd like to fill quick. Yeah, so that's where we're at. And again, I'm going to be reaching out via email, via social media. I'll be bringing it up tomorrow on the Zoom call. Hopefully somebody puts their name in the hat.
Adam, this is
Mark. I'm sorry, who is this?
Mark.
Oh, hey, Mark. Yep.
I wanted to bring up something regarding the numbers for the executive board.
Yes, sir.
You spoke of the fact that we have 9 people presently on it, correct?
Yeah, if not counting Travis, assuming we remove him because of his absence, and then.
Well, but the bottom line is we have 9 people. We have to have somebody for a quorum. We have we have an uneven number, so the commander only votes to break a tie. I think we need to think that while we do have that provision about people being in essence removed, we do need to consider that for the balance of this Legion year, we do have a number. And while it was true, we did increase the number when we combined them. I think we're probably sitting pretty good if we discuss it a little more. That 9 could be a good number to go with, because ultimately you still have to get the approval of the membership.
Correct. Yeah.
So I don't think we need to maybe, unless we want to make it bigger, I don't necessarily think we have to have a special election for those 2 people unless we have a true urgent need for it.
Yeah, and Mark, I agree with you. I'm just saying, in the sense that for the bylaws as they're written now, I think we might be good to go. But again, we're working with our legal counsel to make sure that we do this right.
Sure.
Because I don't want it to come back and bite us.
I just wanted to put that out there. Thank you.
And I believe they're putting together a recommendation that they should be presenting in the relatively near future.
So what does our bylaws say about that? And I do think that we shouldn't be counting Travis in. We went through this a year ago with him, and I think if it comes up, we should make a motion to have him removed. But what do the bylaws say about that? The amount?
Say that the amount of time they can miss, or I'm sorry, the amount of members.
The members.
For the members for the executive committee, it was 9. Dave, keep me honest on that, I believe.
Correct. Glenn,
correct. Yeah, it was 9.
You're closer to 9. What do you think, Glenn? You're on
Glenn, you're muted.
I don't have that at the tip of my fingers, and I'd rather not give that opinion. But I will.
I just looked an hour ago just to make sure before I brought the question up, and it's 9.
Yeah. It's 9. Yes.
Yep. Thank you, Greg.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely going to be some I hate to say growing pains. I don't know if that's the correct way to put it here. But like we all know, we're trying to get back to what our bylaws are saying. And it's a process. You know, things have been kind of messed up for a good many years now. We're trying to sort it out here and get back on the right path. And that's why we got Glenn. Like he said, he's getting ready to put together a recommendation how to proceed. So we do it by the book. And of course, ultimately, membership is going to be consulted on everything, and they'll have the final say.
I would ask Greg if he would say where did you see 9? What document?
If you look at Article 8 of the bylaws, which is on
Executive Committee, Article 8.
Yes.
Okay, it says 9 members. Right. Thank you.
It does.
Yep. All right, guys. So does anybody else have anything they want to bring up here?
Adam,
okay, I was wondering. Yeah.
I was just thinking, I received the email actually the day before yesterday on all the minutes and all the financial statements from the past, and I haven't really had a chance to go through that yet. And we were asked if we would vote on that tonight to pass those. Well, 24 hours in most people's life is not enough time to go through what I got sent yesterday. So I really think that if we vote on that, it would be an unfair vote tonight.
Greg, just for clarification, the vote that was had on the finance report, that was just for what Dave was presenting tonight. That was not about the minutes or the finance reports that were sent out before. Those were all approved where they were first put out, back when they originally were put out.
Well, okay. Part of the minutes that I was reading through and some of the stuff that I was looking at yesterday while I was getting my truck loaded, were approved. But when we asked for those a couple months ago, there were no minutes and this and that, and all of a sudden these minutes come up. Where did they find them?
What do you mean? Those minutes were always available.
Just a question I had, because most of the stuff Diane has sent me, and I keep all my emails, I went back through, and there were months that I was like, wait a minute, these weren't sent before. How come they're all of a sudden appearing now? Okay.
They weren't necessarily emailed out before. We weren't doing that for a while. But then when they were requested, we went ahead and sent them out. They were always on our file. They were always available. It's just when you asked for them, they got sent out.
In addition to that, Adam, this is Dave again. I think they were, every time a meeting invitation went out for a general membership meeting, they were as attachments or links inside those invitations.
Yes, yeah, you're right. And they were typically, when we did start emailing them out with the agendas and everything like that, when we got more involved with like MailChimp and everything like that, they were typically either attached or embedded in those agendas and invites and everything like that for members to have.
Can I say that I have, even before we shut down, I have brought up to Diane, I'm not getting those. I'm not getting this MailChimp. I only get eBoard emails. I've told her the address she's got on there is incorrect, and I have requested it to be corrected I don't know how many times. So okay. I would like to be on record noting that I am again specifically requesting that when I send a request to a paid employee, that request gets fulfilled. I feel like, yeah, if we got money and we're paying her, she works for us.
Okay, so I will go back. So MailChimp has analytics that detail like when everything was sent out, when those are open and everything like that. We'll go ahead and we will review those. And Lynn, I'll go ahead and I'll work with Diane to make sure you got the right, we have the right email address. I know I got your right email address. You replied to me a few times, so I'll make sure she has the one I have.
Thank you.
May I chime in?
Dave Kane, just a quick question.
Yes, Dave.
A little over a week ago, I sent out all the financials that I have, did you receive those?
Oh, you're asking me?
Yes.
Yes, I haven't had time to review them, but I did get a string.
I just want to make sure you had them.
I haven't opened them and confirmed that. And I thought when I did that, I'd reply to your email. It's just, you know, we're in a very stressful time.
Yeah. Jake, do you have something? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was going to ask her some clarification. So Diane asked me when something techie is a little bit over her head. And I remember Lynn, when she brought it to me saying, hey, Lynn's not getting my emails. Can you fix this? So I went and I changed your email to the updated version. So if a mistake was made on that end, unfortunately, it would be my fault. The other thing that could be happening, though, is that when we send it through a provider like MailChimp, if you have some sort of like a blocked email address, or it might be going to your spam folder, if you add Diane's email address to your address book, then it won't be sent to your trash folder or somewhere where you might not see it. So if you do need help with that, or any of you do, any members, you can maybe even just ask like, hey, Dan, could you set me up with Jake for a 15-minute session? And maybe I can figure it out with you so that doesn't happen anymore.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. I just realized that for that line of credit that was mentioned, we probably need a motion for that to go ahead and pursue the line of credit, given the result of the vote to sell. Again, this is a line of credit. It's not a loan. We only use what we need. So can I please have a motion? Oh, so I'm sorry, Dave, what were the figures for that line of credit again? I'm sorry.
285,000 initially with a 1 year payment terms.
Gotcha. And then the idea being that when the sale of the property goes through, we would use those funds to pay off that line of whatever we used in the line of credit, correct?
Directionally, as far as I understand, the membership approved going forward with the line of credit back in the February general membership meeting. And
that was the loans. That was like the PPE loans and stuff like that.
Was it okay?
So this is separate. I mean, maybe we could technically use that, but I'd be more comfortable with another vote here with the executive board, and then we can put it before the membership tomorrow.
Okay, sounds like a plan. I so move.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we got a motion here to secure that line of credit that Dave detailed out right there. Can I please have a second?
I'll second.
All right, Lynn Lag. Thank you, Lynn. Is there any discussion on that?
And the loan is going to be used to pay off the rest of the taxes plus the vendors and what's owed at the club, right?
It's two things. It's going to be used off to pay off the outstanding balance we have, the monies we owe, taxes, and what we owe the rest of the suppliers. But in addition to that, it will be just generating operating cash, which lets us continue work, moving forward until we close on the property.
And I just want to point out that this may be me being a little nitpicky, just for clarification, because they are two different things. It's a line of credit. It's not a loan. A loan means like we got a loan for $100,000. That means we get the $100,000. We got to pay the $100,000 back. This line of credit just means we're good for, up to that amount. We can only use, we might only use 50 grand, and we only got to pay back 50 grand. You know what I mean? So I just want to make sure that's clear in this.
Well, the same thing happens with a loan. If you get approved for 100,000, doesn't mean you have to take 100,000. You take what you want. But I don't understand if the property is being sold, why do we need to do this? Why do we need to get a line of credit or a loan?
Lynn,
just wait until it sells.
Let me try to answer that one for you. We list the property. We put it out there, we get an offer, we accept an offer, we'll get some amount of money probably from that company as earnest money. I haven't worked out all the details with the real estate broker, But the answer is that property may not close until the company puts forward their plan to the city and the city approves it. So you could be talking about 12 to 18 months as that, company, the developer, is going through the process of getting approvals from the city. Carol, I see you shaking your head. I'm assuming you're in agreement with that?
That's Greg. That's his wife's name. So
Greg, I'm sorry. Not your wife's name, and I apologize, but I'm assuming you're probably in approval with that?
Yeah, when I was on the city council for Northfield, we had to have operating capital because the money does not come in. It's quite normal in my experience to obtain loans to be able to operate. What I'm hearing both Adam and Dave say and describe seems eminently reasonable. I shouldn't pitch in like this except on legal issues, but I couldn't resist.
Well,
fair enough. Fair enough.
This is Mark. I think we all have to realize that 12 months ago, to keep it in perspective, why we need this line of credit and what the operating capital is, we had the bar and the restaurant bringing in income. We're not bringing in any income except through membership dues, and membership dues aren't going to pay to keep the lights on, pay the water bill. That's what this stuff would be used for, as I understand it, and I'm sitting here processing that.
But on top of that, just to look at it from my perspective, is that we may have been able to get by without it. But we've paid down $155,000 of our outstanding debt. If you kept that $155,000 in the bank, we may have been able to keep operating without a loan, but we would not have been able to pay back our suppliers and the money we realistically owe to the folks. So what we're looking at right now is, how do you balance out both sides of that? How do we pay our debts and keep operating?
Okay, but we aren't really operating. And I'm just, me personally, I think the line of credit might not be a bad idea, but I don't think that we should really go around and telling people it's to pay the light bill and the water bill. That building has been closed. The lights aren't on, the water.
The lights are still on. The electricity is still running.
All of them?
Yeah, the electricity is still running. Yep, we still got heat going.
We've still got food in the freezers in there.
Okay. So is any discussion about what we're going to do with that stuff?
That's coming now that we got the vote to sell. Those are the discussions we need to start having once the Property and Finance Committee is established, because technically that'd be their jurisdiction for that property in there. And we need to figure out how we want to do this, what we want to get rid of, what we want to put in a storage somewhere, for our,
we need to
all the. Yeah, you're right. When it comes to the food, I'm talking more like, the ship's flag and stuff like that, and the stuff in the Turner room and everything like that.
Yeah, the historical, obviously.
Yeah.
We need to look out for that, because it's going to be a hard winter if the pipes start freezing in there and stuff like that. That's what we really need to look forward to.
And so that's something that's going to be a priority then for the Property and Finance Committee to figure out how we're going to do that. So, all right. So we do have
one of the first items on the agenda for that committee when they meet.
Perfect. All right. So we do have a motion on the floor. I just want to get back to that real quick. The motion was to approve the acquiring that line of credit. It was put forth by Dave, second by Lynn. So I'm going to do a roll call vote here, just to make sure everybody's got good to go. Mark, yay or nay?
Yes.
All right. Dave, yay or nay? Lynn Lag.
Yay.
Greg Grant.
Yes.
Mike Hewitt.
Yay.
Lynn Lyons.
Yay.
Andy Keller.
Yay.
All right. Now I'm going to consider that motion passed. Did I miss anybody? I don't think I missed anybody. All right. Does anybody else have any business to bring before the board here?
I have, I just had a reminder. We are going to have the first meeting of the holding corporation tomorrow. Is that correct?
Correct. I'm going to call for that immediately after the general membership meeting. We have to establish like the
with the president,
holding corporation president, and all that kind of stuff.
Right. Okay, very good.
We have to flush that out. So I'm going to call for that immediately after the general membership meeting.
Adam, just as an FYI, I've asked Diane to look at finding us a place on December 2nd.
That's a nice hand. Yeah, there you go.
The first meeting of the Property and Finance Committee.
Okay, that works for me. Just make sure. I know the governor is supposed to come out with some new stuff tomorrow, some new guidelines. So we just got to make sure we're staying on the right side of that.
The only good news piece of that, I'd like to have this first one face to face, and since there's only 5 members of the Property and Finance Committee, if we meet at the Bloomington Legion in their large auditorium, I think we can find enough space to make sure we maintain social distance.
Go ahead.
I would look at the governor's last emergency order. I believe it was 20-96 on social gatherings, which I think is how that would be classified. Remember, the rule says that 10 people can meet, but when those 10 people meet, they can't be from more than 3 different family groups.
Greg, I'm perfectly fine leaving that and putting it at a Zoom meeting.
Okay.
Don't have an issue with that. I thought for the first time it made sense to get together face to face. With your recommendation, we'll do it Zoom.
We will review the governor's order. We will review whatever he comes out with tomorrow, just to make sure we're on the right side of that, like I said.
Good.
Okay. I also wanted to touch base here, guys. I'm going to reach out to the city of Richfield to let them know how the vote went, to keep those conversations kind of going, to make sure they're in the loop. I'm going to recommend the holding corporation then they reach out to Cushman and Wakefield, or Wakefield and Cushman, whatever way those 2 words go. Kind of bring them in the loop. We can get those conversations started, or get those conversations keep going. We want to start looping in the SAL, the auxiliary gun club, the riders, and all of them, to kind of help design our vision for the future of Post 435 and any, if we get another building, is to make sure their input's in there and to make sure their voices are heard and make sure their needs are met too, or as far as we feasibly can. So that's going to be on my agenda going forward here. And then I'll keep you guys in the loop how that goes and everything like that. And if we need to establish any ad hoc committees then to kind of lead those efforts, we'll kind of do those as we need to do. Does anybody have any questions?
Commander, this is Mike Maxa, the adjutant. I have a couple concerns that I did receive a phone call today, a concern about the motions at your general meeting, that on the agenda that you have published for tomorrow, that no motions will be taken from the general membership.
I'd have to review the agenda here to make sure I'm up on here. If I recall, like from the last meeting, it was going to be the motions were going to be after the open mic session, so we may need to update that agenda in case that didn't get in there. I'll have to double check that though. Thanks for pointing that out to me, Mike. I will double check and make sure that's correct.
And then, because that's one thing at the general membership meeting, if a motion's made and seconded, you have to bring it up for discussion and then a vote.
Fair enough. Yep. And we are going to proceed forward with Robert's rules when it comes to motions and everything like that. So that's how we're going. That's how we're guided by our legal counsel, and that's how we're going to keep doing things.
Good. Another question I have: do you guys keep minutes of the DEC? Your executive board here?
Yes, minutes are kept.
You are kept. And there was no review of the minutes at the beginning of your meeting. Don't you think that should be done and then minutes approved?
We didn't have an executive board meeting last month due to weather. It was canceled.
Okay.
So we didn't have any meetings. We didn't have any minutes to review.
Okay.
Mike, what we historically do is put those executive board meetings in front of the general membership and ask them to approve.
That's good. Thank you.
They're approved, but they're usually approved by the general membership as opposed by the executive committee.
And I think I'm just, maybe that'll, clear up some of this confusion about where the minutes are and what the minutes say. All the meetings that I attend, the minutes are always brought forth in the beginning. And, and then there's some posts that suspend the reading of the minutes, but they still get approved.
Yep. And like Dave said, that's typically how we do it as well. Last month was weirder because of that we had that weather roll through, and I was out of state. So Mike Max, our first vice here, was running the meeting. Went ahead and made the call for safety reasons. Let's go ahead and cancel the meeting. So there were no meeting minutes for the executive board last month.
That's fine. Thank you.
Yep. Are there any other questions?
Could I clarify that you just said tomorrow Robert's rules will apply? Because you also said that last month, but then you threw it. You wouldn't let anybody make a motion, even though it was Robert's rules. So just for clarification, tomorrow you are allowing.
I will allow them as Robert's rules prescribes.
If I could make one thing, at the membership meeting of last time, as I recall, the agenda was no motions during the open mic, and motions would be made after the open mic.
That is correct.
However, a member made a motion to adjourn the meeting after the open mic, and it was seconded, debated, and passed. So that ended the meeting. So if people don't want the meeting to end, they should debate that down and also vote against it. If that happens tomorrow.
Yep, and we will see. And it's going to be interesting tomorrow. It's going to be a large meeting, so we'll have to, via Zoom. So we're going to have to find an interesting balance there. All right. Are there any other questions? Any other business that anybody wants to bring before the board?
Adam, this is Dave Kane. Just a quick question. Yep. You had sent out an email, or you had Diane send out an email earlier about the Sons of the American Legion's Constitution.
Oh, yes. Thank you. I totally forgot about that. Yeah. So, Dave, I'm sorry if I heard me cut you off, but the Sons of the American Legion, I sent that out to the board. They just updated their Constitution. I reviewed the Constitution, being their parent post and everything like that. They just need our approval on it. Did everybody get a chance to read through it?
I did. Can I ask a question of Greg? Greg,
sure.
I just need some guidance on this one.
Sure.
This thing was written in the fact that it's for all male descendants of the wars. Is the Sons of the American Legion restricted only to men? Or if a woman is a descendant of a veteran, can they also join? So I'm trying to look at the whole political correctness thing, and that was the only issue that I had a question about.
I think this is one of those questions where I'm going to give you a very fuzzy answer. The American Legion stands by its current organizational arrangements. If you are asking whether or not that denies equal treatment based on gender, I'm going to have to research that question.
I understand. Just generally, I'm assuming what that really is telling me is that if you're a son of the American Legion, you can join the SAL.
Yes.
If you're a daughter, you have to join the auxiliary.
Correct.
I see Mike shaking his head up and down. So
yes, Dave. That's how that goes.
Okay.
You are asking a very good question, and I would urge you to look at the Constitution for the auxiliary, because you're going to end up asking the very same question.
And I don't disagree in it. It's more about this environment of political correctness as opposed to necessarily being opposed to what the language says.
Well, the American Legion fundamentally believes in obeying the law and treating people equally, regardless of gender, race, creed, religion, et cetera, et cetera. But the our organizational documents say what they say. When push comes to shove, you know, we'll have to cross those bridges when we come to. But you've asked a mighty fine question.
So can I say something? My understanding has been for years that it is the sons of a veteran join the SAL. Wives, daughters, granddaughters, what have you, would be in the auxiliary. And the recent change was to allow male spouses of female veterans to join the auxiliary because they never had a home.
That's correct.
All right. So like I said, I'm sorry, did I cut somebody off? I didn't mean to cut somebody off.
This is Mark.
Yeah.
I've been in the SAL for over 40 years, and the preamble is all male descendants. And I've never seen anything change that from the national organization of the SAL. So as it reads now, whether you're juveniles or adults, you can join the SAL and belong to it as long as there's that membership connection in the first place. And the young women, you know, girls, you know, minors, they can join or belong to the junior auxiliary, and then they graduate up into the auxiliary. So for right now, unless something changes at the national level of the organization, I think it is what it is, all male descendants. And I think that's what we should operate on until otherwise directed from a higher authority.
And
I agree.
I'm actually perfectly fine with that. I just thought it was an interesting enough question that I wanted to put it on the table and get some input.
Fair enough. And I think we've clarified it enough for tonight. So we'll see. Can I just get a motion to accept their constitution, or to approve their constitution, I should say?
Mark Bartle first.
All right. Can I get a second, please?
Dave Kane.
Dave Kane. All right. We'll do another roll call vote here. Oh, I'm sorry. Wait, is there any discussion on that? I feel like we've had a lot already. All right. If there's no further discussion, we'll do the vote here. Mark?
In favor?
Yay or nay? What's that?
Yay.
All right. Sorry, I was over you there. Dave?
Yay.
Lynn Lag?
Yes.
Mike Hewitt?
Yay.
Greg Grant? I'm sorry, Greg, that didn't come through on mine. Did you say yay?
Greg, you're
okay.
You're
I see your lips moving. Okay, I'm going to count that. He's nodding his head. I'm going to count that. There you go. Yep, there you go. Is that a yay there? All right.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. Lynn Lyons.
Yeah.
Andy Keller.
Yay.
All right. Does anybody else have anything they want to bring before the board? If not, I got 18:59 hours. I'll go ahead and call the meeting adjourned. Thanks for everybody for taking the time to call in.
See you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Yep, bye.
Thanks, everybody.